everyone. My name is Kaylee. I'm 16, and in October of 2022, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma. It's a bone cancer commonly found in teens. So, over the whole summer of 2020, I was training to test for my black belt at Litchfield High School. Every weekend I would train, and I never noticed really the pain in my right knee until about August. It started becoming a problem. So I told my mom, well actually my mom saw the bulge on the side of my knee, and she asked me what it was, and I said, oh, that's there, it's just there, it comes and goes, it doesn't really hurt that much, and it goes away when I take a Tylenol or something. So I asked her for a knee brace one day, so it would help support it. She said that it doesn't look very normal, so we called and made an appointment for the orthopedic in Litchfield in September, I think, and we went there, and the orthopedic got an x-ray of my knee, and he said it could be a tumor, and that's the only word I heard him say. I was honestly freaking out, and a lot of thoughts were running through my mind, what does this mean, right? I'm sure that would happen to most of us. So he called in for an MRI, and I remember the whole week of school I was there until that Wednesday when I went for my MRI. It was, I was kind of like, oh, I have an appointment, and it's nothing too big, I'm sure it's fine, might have pulled something at dance or karate. Like I said before, I was every weekend I did something. Yeah, and then that Wednesday came, and we went and I got the scan done. We were going to go to eat afterwards at Five Guys. We hadn't even pulled into the parking lot, and we got a call from the orthopedic saying that he wants us to come in as soon as possible. So we went in, and we sat down, and he sat us down. He said, there's no easy way to say this, but this looks like it could be cancerous. And right then when he said that, I froze. Both my parents started breaking down. It hadn't really hit me yet. It was not a great day. After we left the orthopedic, I thought about my friends from karate. I said, they need to know. So I told my mom that night I wanted to meet them at karate, and I was going to tell them myself. So that's exactly what I did, and I remember I couldn't even finish my sentence before Olivia Croft came up to me and gave me a hug, and then I kind of lost it. But yeah, so that's basically how I found out. So basically the plan was, when I got to MSK, which is Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, was to have 9 to 10 months of treatment, and they would go in and remove my tumor, and they would put metal in my leg, which it sounds scary, but they would put a rod in my leg after they took out my the tumor, and they would fracture right above it. And what they would do is they would push down the bone slightly, a few centimeters every day, until it finally touched the joint. So basically, I grew my own leg back, and my friend who had Ewing sarcoma and I sort of made up this joke that we're both starfish. You know how starfish always grow their legs back. I'm gonna read some of my journal I put in October of 2020. I was never one to keep a journal. I always would forget to write in it, or just forget about it in general. I guess sitting in bed all the time is kind of making me crazy. When I found out I had cancer, I honestly was shocked. How was it that the day before I was normal or as basic as every other person next to me? I was stressed about a lot, school, tests, formatives, summatives. To be honest, I'm mostly sad. Sad because I'm going to lose my hair. Sad because I can't stand without my mom or dad helping me up. Sad for the fact that I had cancer, and it's not fair. I hate the hospital, I hate the doctors, I hate needles. I was fine less than a month ago. I see all my friends posting about going to March Farm and picking apples, all the fun stuff. And I'm here stuck in my stupid bed. To be honest, I want people to know about the whole cancer situation, but I don't want to face people and have them pity me. I wish they would treat me the way my friends do. They're pretending like everything is normal, trying. I'm happy that my friends are all pretending like everything is normal. I honestly don't like talking about everything. I can't wait for this all to be over so I can go back to being normal and they don't have to pretend anymore. So that was my entry from October. Newsflash, nothing is ever normal after that. It sticks with you. It really does. December 2020. I'm not stuck in my bed anymore. People are starting to figure out and find out I had cancer, and they're starting to pity me, some people. It feels like the person I was is gone. I don't recognize myself. When I look in the mirror, it's like looking at a different person. My hair is slowly starting to grow back. Not even that much, though. It's so blonde. I hate it when I went into my room for the first time in 3 months, and I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. It sent a cold chill down my spine. I put one of my dresses on, hoping to see my old self, and I didn't. I stood there like a fool and cried. Like, really cried. I haven't done that in years. It's honestly not fair. I want things to go back to how they were before cancer. I want to be happy again. People tell you to stay strong, but I don't think they realize how hard that is. I have surgery soon. I know that soon I'll be stuck in my bed again for 4 months, and on top of all that, I'll still have to go through chemo. I wish they could just take the tumor out and not have to give me chemo. I'd just be fine. So that was my last entry in this journal from December. Now we're moving on to January. Today I got my first look at my leg. I had surgery almost 2 weeks ago. On one half I was excited to look and see what Dr. Prince had done, my surgeon. But on the other half I was scared because of how long my scar is. The fact I literally have bolts and screws in my leg kind of scares me. I'm basically a robot now, like Professor Moody from Harry Potter. Sometimes it really hurts, but mostly controlled by the pain meds. I just want to walk like normal and not have to look like an old person using a walker or when I'm using a wheelchair. Skip forward. That was January. In January, I had my first major surgery, where they removed the tumor and they put, the rod in and the screws and bolts. I still have that in now. I get it taken out maybe a year. Really depends. Yeah. So, that's still in there. This is in April, around the time, a little before last year's relay. I finally got my wig the other day. Honestly, I'm very happy with it. It looks so natural, but feels a little weird. It makes me feel like normal, like a normal girl my age. I was really excited that day, because I didn't have to walk around with my head showing. Yeah, it was a really, really fun day. So in June, I'm not sure of how many of you know of this singer, Nightbird. She, okay, I'm just gonna read what I wrote in here because I wrote a lot. Jane is 30 years old and is from Ohio. She used to sing before she was diagnosed with lung, spine, and liver cancer. She wrote an original song, It's Okay, and performed at the America's Got Talent auditions. When she walked onto the stage, she was wearing a beautiful, bright smile, when really she had to deal with the fact that she's dying. Her quote was, "It's important for people to know that I'm so much more than the bad things that have happened to me." The song she performed touched all 4 judges, and mostly Simon Cowell. He gave her the golden buzzer. Jane's song is now top 3 in Apple Music. with one of her performances. She has a 2% chance of survival. Her other quote was, 2% is not 0%, 2% is something, and I wish people knew how amazing it is. A lot of her quotes stuck with me, and I was heartbroken when she passed away earlier this year. It really hit me hard because she was someone I looked up to. My favorite quote by her is, "You can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you can decide to be happy." I use that quote, I think about it every day. Whenever I have to make a decision, with my friends, I always take the chance and I always seize the moment because I've been on that fine line and I know what it's like to not know if you are going to have another year, So I really love that quote that she had. This is in July. I had my last admission today. I had surgery a week ago. Finished chemo too. I don't know what to do now, if I'm being honest. My hip hurts a lot. Back to the wheelchair. I'm not happy about that. And this is when my mental health started dropping a little bit. I started dealing with depression a lot and anxiety. I still deal with anxiety a lot. But I have good people in my life that help me when I deal with this. A lot of my friends, and some are here tonight. A lot of the people I look up to help me a lot. And I'm really lucky to have them. And back then I wasn't able to sleep very well. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares, thinking I was back at the hospital. Really something that you want to go through. PTSD is something that a lot of people have to deal with, and it really sucks that they have to deal with that and have to remember everything traumatic that they've gone through. I still deal with PTSD, and it's something I've been working with. I'm getting better. And there's such thing called healing PTSD, where it's the stage where you're healing from what you've gone through, and my therapist says I'm in that stage, so woo! And now that basically leads to where I am today. I'm now 16. I was 14 when I was diagnosed. It's been a really tough 2 years, but like I said before, I'm really lucky to have everyone in my life. Yeah, and it's really great that all of you came out to support, people like me and Isaac, because this is something very hard that we have to deal with. But we're very grateful for all of you, and even you just showing up means a lot. Making the Luminar means a lot to all of us, so I want to thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaac. I'm a junior here at Litchfield High School, and it's my story. You have cancer. The 3 most feared words in the English language. When I got that news, I was surprised because who wouldn't be? I was confused because I had just graduated from the 5th grade and didn't know what it was. All I knew was that people died from it. My platelet count was extremely low, so much so that the doctor said that if I had gone to the baseball game I was planning on attending that morning, I would have probably died. If I got hit by a ball, I would have died. If I slid into a base, I would have died. Getting that news stunned me. I probably wouldn't be able to finish my baseball season. I wouldn't even be able to have a summer. Probably would lose a lot more. I was told I had a mutated form of leukemia and would be in the hospital for a while. My parents were told I had a 20% chance of survival. William Frederick Halsey Jr. said, "There are no great people in this world, just great challenges which ordinary people rise to meet." So there my journey started. 3 rounds of chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant. I've been asked a couple times what it's like to have cancer, and I always respond with the same answer. The food was fantastic. Soon after I was given a room at the Hartford Children's Hospital, I was given a menu of all sorts of different foods, just perfect for a young boy. There were pancakes, waffles, French toast, and cereals, and that was only breakfast. It may suck at times to have cancer, but at least you get to eat like royalty. Soon letters and boxes came flooding in, chock full of candies, coloring books, and board games. It amazed me the generosity of just a small community. Not only that, but I had visitors coming in nearly daily, other than my parent or grandparents. Friends came to play games with me, and relatives came for a visit. People who I hadn't even met before came in and supported me. Having to stay in the same room for weeks at a time gets quite repetitive. But it was always the new faces coming in and out of my room that helped keep me going. There was even a swimming fundraiser at the country club hosted that raised over $10,000. Every day, I would wake up to the behest of my mother and go and walk around the hallways of the floor. It was hope that kept me going through my journey. Waking up every morning, thanking God, and trying to be the best that I can be. It takes bravery to get through a day with confidence, but it takes courage to wake up every day and face the unknown challenges ahead. My head doctor, Dr. Gillen, said that it's all about your mindset and motivation to keep going. I've seen small kids with almost no chance of surviving, and they wake up, eat lots of food, get out of their room as much as they can, socialize, and they make it out the other side. On the other hand, I've seen the fittest, strongest, most healthy-looking football players who have a good chance of survival come in, they lay around, not even eating. They get all their nutrients from a feeding tube or through a port, and infections come. Because they're not willing to have the right mindset. So they lose. She said the best thing for patients to do is wake up every day and say, I'm going to beat this. Things may happen to you. Things may happen around you. But what's most important is the things that happen in you. Every day asking yourself, how am I going to beat this today? Between treatments, I was able to go home for a short time when some folks had a chicken and pasta fundraiser for me at the Northfield Firehouse. When I arrived, I was blown away by how many tables there were. No one had arrived except for a few people who had come to help set up. There was no way we were going to fill all the tables, let alone feed everyone, I thought. Eventually, the doors opened, and people just flooded in. Friends from school came, my baseball team came, friends of friends came. It was a whole community coming together in fellowship. Just from that one night, the community raised over $20,000. I was alone one Saturday night during my third round of chemotherapy when I had a poor reaction to one of the drugs I was given. I had gotten pneumonia and went into septic shock with a fever of 108. Alarms were sounding everywhere. Doctors and nurses were rushing around. My parents were called immediately, waking them up to tell them the turn of events. There was fear in her voice going across the line. We're going to do our best, but this is out of our control. His heart rate is deathly low and is seeing hallucinations. His body is in a state of panic which he cannot control. My parents couldn't do a thing because they were an hour away. Right away, they started quoting verses. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. The Lord sustains them on their sick bed and restores them from their bed of illness. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, when you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. For an hour, they prayed fervently when the phone rang for a second time. The same nurse was there. I don't know what happened to your son, but one moment he was hot and seeing things, and the next he's resting sleepfully. Everything's gone. The heart rate is completely normal. He's not panicking. and his fever completely disappeared. It's like nothing I've ever seen. For everyone who's had a fever that high, they've been rushed into the ICU. It's taken weeks to recover if they made it at all. There's no medical explanation for this. It's a miracle. At one point, Dr. Gillen told us that I would have to undergo a bone marrow transplant. So, when I was done, I went off to Boston. The difference was that I didn't get many visitors, and my parents couldn't just drive there every day like they were able to do when I was in Hartford. I was stuck in a small room in a small hallway, but I still took one thing: hope. Pretty soon, even more cards came praying for me and wishing me the best of luck. The atmosphere was gloomy. It was the same as Hartford: the beeps, the ringing, the doctors, nurses, and the lights. But there were no patients. All of them were hidden behind closed doors. No laughs, no games, no little kids running around. I remember what Dr. Gillen said about getting up every morning and saying to yourself, "I'm going to beat this." Since I couldn't leave the confines of my short haul, I took out a small quadcopter that couldn't even get off the ground, set it on the floor, pressed the button. It raced down the door. It raced by the doors, the nurse's station, and more doors again. I smiled, then in the hospital socks, chased it down the hall, riding on my IV pole. Nurses' heads turned and laughed. There was a buzz followed by a patter, patter, patter. I even saw some kids poke their head out of their room. The most important thing in illness is to never lose heart. On both sides, it'll look dark, but keep your eye on the end of the tunnel. The end of the tunnel is success. It's an education. It's a family. It's a life. Everything that could have been lost. Many people look to the side and instead stay in bed. They succumb to the trials and tribulations. They look at the circumstances instead of the outcome. But it's not just an individual to fight cancer. It takes a community. It takes the doctors, the nurses, the rides given, the many meals cooked, the generous donations given, the cards written, the time taken off, the supporting phone calls, and most of all, the family. It takes a family of all of you to help fight it. It may seem small, just a short, "Hey, how's it going?" goes a long way. I know many of you don't know my journey, but I know many of you didn't know about my journey, but I do know many of you did. You supported me, and I'm forever grateful. So I'll leave you this one quote from Benjamin Zander, a conductor of an orchestra. The conductor of an orchestra doesn't make a sound. He depends for his power on his ability to make other people powerful. I realized that my job is to awaken possibilities in other people. And of course, I wanted to know whether I was doing that. And you know how I find that out? You look at their eyes. If their eyes are shining, you know you're doing it right. If their eyes are not shining, you get to ask yourself a question. And this is the question: what am I being that others' eyes are not shining? It's a totally different world. You know, I have a definition of success. For me, it's very simple. It's not about wealth and fame and power. It's about how many shining eyes I have around me. I realize that our words are very powerful, but I have to ask you a question. Can everything you say stand as the last thing you ever said? No, we'll make ourselves wrong and others wrong. But it is a possibility we can live into. Thank you.